What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It is time to talk about some basketball, guys. And I know we've been doing basketball recently with the whole March Madness thing going on, but it's the end of the NBA regular season, and that just means a couple things. The playoffs are right around the corner. We're going to figure out who gets Zion on the #1 overall pick, and we're going to see who wins MVP, who wins Best Coach, Rookie of the Year, who got left out of the playoffs, why, and what are the big headlines from the season. So starting off with the worst teams of the year, we have Phoenix, who has been a returning customer to this segment because Phoenix the last couple years have picked up some good players and traded for some good players, but have not won any games. I mean, you can't win games, you can't make the playoffs. So we also have the Knicks, who are also struggling at the moment, who have been struggling for maybe the last 2 or 3 years. And then we also have Cleveland, who after moving on from LeBron, you could tell they were a one-person team. And this is how bad these 3 teams were, guys. These 3 teams combined to win 54 games, which is less than what Milwaukee did, the Warriors, and Toronto. So these 3 teams did not win as many games as those top 3 teams. And that was combined. So yeah, they're gonna suck. They're gonna rebuild for a while. I mean, Phoenix, I feel like, has been rebuilding for a while now. The Knicks have been struggling the last few years, but could luckily land Zion Williamson with a #1 overall pick. We still don't know. Cleveland is going to be struggling to find a new superstar since LeBron left. They have been relying on Colin Sexton to guide this new youth form that they have going on. They still have the likes of Channing Frye there, J.R. Smith, and a few other players that they had from the last 2 years, but they haven't been winning any games. So they're going to be in the bottom 5 for the next couple years to come until they can get some good draft picks and some good acquisitions going. So we have some teams that have been returning to the playoffs this year after a pretty long drought. I mean, we have the likes of Brooklyn, who, behind D'Angelo Russell, who after being traded away from the Lakers, has shown up and said, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm good, guys. D'Angelo Russell had an amazing year this year, guys. Honestly, my pick to win Comeback Player of the Year, not because of injury, but this guy showed up. This guy proved to be a point guard, proved to be an NBA player, and proved to the Lakers that like Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Kyle Kuzma just couldn't get it done for them this year. But you guys got something to look forward to the next few years with D'Angelo Russell, and hopefully get some other pieces around him. You guys make the playoffs for the first time in a while. Let's make this a continuing trend for you guys. So rely on D'Angelo Russell a little bit more. He will carry you guys. I don't think you guys are going to do anything great in the playoffs this year, but you guys are back. LA is also back in the playoffs. Not the Lakers, but the Clippers. The Clippers, after trading away Tobias Harris and with rumors around it that they were going to be tanking, there's that word again, guys, tanking, it seemed to be one of those teams that they didn't know they're going to want to be winning, or they want to be wanted to tank. But they showed really early in the season that, you know what, we don't need Tobias Harris to carry us. We will do this as a team effort. Patrick Beverley's going to be with us. And they did it, guys. They clinched that 8th seed in the last game of the season and are going to be facing the Warriors in the first round. Shout out, Dev Nation. But, I mean, they made the playoff. This is something that we did not expect from the Clippers this year. This is probably a team that I expected to want to hold on to a pick that Boston now has. This is a team that you might think would want to land in the bottom 10 to try and land Zion Williamson or another good draft pick. But they put in the effort to make it there, guys. So you know what? They're in the playoffs now. Speaking of LA, guys, I mean, LA, the Lakers, what is going on with you guys? You guys get LeBron in the offseason. You guys make a big deal of having him. You guys make it known that LeBron is going to carry you guys to the playoffs behind Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and whoever else you guys had. But LeBron goes down with an injury on Christmas. He misses 17 games. You guys shut him down maybe 2 weeks before the season's over. Lonzo Ball gets shut down. Kyle Kuzma gets shut down for no apparent reason. Brandon Ingram has some health scares. And Magic Johnson steps down while you guys are playing your last game of the season? Are you serious? This is a team that was expected to make the playoffs by pretty much everybody just simply because you guys had LeBron James. You guys couldn't make that happen. You guys had once-in-a-generation type talent, and you guys made him miss the playoffs. And I understand this one player does not carry a team to the playoffs, especially in the Western Conference when you have the likes of the Warriors, the Rockets, the Thunder, the Trailblazers, and so on and so forth. Like, these guys, the West is not to be messed with. I mean, in the East, yeah, he can do that back then because you have teams like the Pistons who are getting in on a 41-41 record. So yeah, it's a little bit easier to make it there. But you guys are so dysfunctional at the moment that you guys have your president stepping down not even after the game is over, not even telling his boss to her face that he is leaving. I mean, you guys need to figure that out. I'm sure you guys will. I'm making a whole video of Magic Johnson by himself in the near future, so stay tuned for that. But let's move forward. The Orlando Magic somehow did it, guys. Clinching the 7th seed in the East. They rallied behind Aaron Gordon and somehow got some wins, and they scraped together enough wins to be above 500 and to make the playoffs, so good for them. So with these middle-of-the-pack teams that we have a few of them. Like, we have Indiana, who, unfortunately, after losing Victor Oladipo, was pretty much written off by every single ESPN, Fox Sport, or any type of sports anchor. But I always kind of believed in them that they were going to still make a pretty good run throughout the whole season. And of course they did make the playoffs, but without Oladipo, how far can they actually go? So the Utah Jazz, Boston Celtics, and OKC all struggled to find their form throughout the whole year. All three teams who were really exciting and fun to watch last year because of the players that they had with them. I mean, Boston had Kyrie Irving, they had Teddy Rozier, Jason Tatum, Al Horford. I mean, they were a team that were fun to watch, and even after Kyrie went down and after Gordon Hayward unfortunately had that bad accident in the first game of the season, they were still a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and were one game away from making it to the finals without their star talent. But now that they do have them back, and the team was struggling to find their form with that talent back, I mean, they kind of struggled along the way, and they kind of limped their way into the playoffs. But all in all, it's how you get there, right? OKC, unfortunately, was a very big disappointment for me this year. Not the biggest one. I'll get to them. We'll get to the biggest disappointment soon. But to have Paul George commit to you guys for another 4 years, and to have Russell Westbrook, who's averaging a triple-double, Steven Adams is still there, and Anthony Roberson, who was still there, and also having Dennis Schroeder. This is a team that I expected to do a lot more, but were very lackluster and underperformed very, very heavily. I mean, Russell Westbrook, yes, did average another triple-double throughout the whole year, and Paul George was probably the defensive player of the year and was very clutch for them. But with that type of talent, I expect you to contend for the #1 overall seed in the West. But to make it to number 6, I mean, yeah, you're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the playoffs, but 6?
Drake! Drake!
The Utah Jazz were a team that were fun to watch last year with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, but that's it. After those two guys, who else do you have on that team? I mean, you do have a whole bunch of role players in there, like you have Ricky Rubio and you have Joe Ingles, but they're not players who are going to take over the game and score 40 for you. I mean, Donovan Mitchell did struggle to find his form beginning of the year, and Rudy Gobert did not make the All-Star team again this year, but it happens. And without having that star power, how far can they actually make it into the playoffs? The Denver Nuggets, guys. The Denver Nuggets were the team that missed out on the playoffs in the last day of the season last year. And now they are the #2 seed this year in the playoffs. So Denver Nuggets, from basically missing the playoffs at #2 overall, and we're giving the Warriors a really good run for their money for the #1 overall seed throughout the first couple weeks of the season, throughout the first couple months of the season. It's pretty cool to see what they can do. They have Paul Millsap, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. I mean, these guys are for real. I mean, and playing in Denver is not something that can be easily done if you're an away team. That thin air, that altitude, the way you have to run up and down the court with these guys is going to be pretty difficult. So I expect them to make a deep playoff run, maybe make it Western Conference Finals. Imagine, you make the Western Conference Finals after missing out on the playoffs the year before? That's ridiculous. Before we get to the top dogs of the season, guys, I want to remind you guys to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. That way you guys will know everything that's going on with my channel moving forward. And with that out the way, we can go to the top dogs of the season, guys. Starting off the top dogs, we do have the Milwaukee Bucks, relying heavily on Giannis Antetokounmpo. I hope I pronounced that right. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Whatever, it's a hard name to pronounce, but the Greek freak is amazing. Potential MVP talent, probably the MVP of the league, in my opinion, but this guy is going to be crazy good for the next couple years to come. He is potentially the next face of the NBA, even though he's had some issues saying that he doesn't want to be the face of the NBA, he just wants to play basketball, and I completely respect that. Play your game, make your money, win some games, don't worry about anybody else, just do you. But this team relied heavily on him, and because of that, with Mike Budenholzer as a head coach, Giannis and Eric Bledsoe and a few of the key pieces that they had throughout the whole season, they clinched the #1 overall seed in the whole league, which means if they make it to the finals, they have home court advantage. They will have home court advantage throughout the whole playoffs, including the finals if they get there. But this is a team that can beat you on both sides of the ball, guys. They could shoot with you, they could defend with you, they could run with you. They are that type of team that is really, really good. But because of the lack of experience from not being in the playoffs in these critical conditions, I could see that falling against them. But all in all, man, to clinch the #1 overall seed in the whole league, good for you guys. I hope to see continued success from them. But we'll see how they do in the playoffs, so let's move on. We have Toronto. Toronto, I'm not surprised, is in this conversation of being one of the best teams in the East and probably the league, but because they've been there before. They were the #1 overall seed in the Eastern Conference last year, but missed out because of LeBron and the Cavs. But because of that, I'm not surprised that they're there again. I mean, Mike Lowry's still there. They picked up Kawhi Leonard. Danny Green is also there. So yeah, with having a defensive talent like Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green there, and with still having the shooters like Mike Lowry, all in all, you're still going to have a pretty good team. But this is a team that's known to choke it out throughout the rest of the season. When it gets to the playoffs, it gets really difficult for them, and they tend to struggle. They tend to struggle to find their form. They don't know what they're going to do. They don't know how... They freeze up, pretty much. They freeze up. They don't know where they're going to get their buckets from. Their defense just tends to shut down. But maybe with Kawhi Leonard there this year, and maybe only for this year, they'll show up and they'll play some better defense and score some more points and outlast the rest in the East. They are a potential team to make it to the finals, but can struggle along the way. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did make it to the finals. That's how inconsistent they've been. Houston having another great year behind James Harden and CP3. I mean, these guys shoot the lights out. That's all what they do. They most likely shoot more threes than they do twos, and that's because, I mean, they come from the philosophy that you score more points with a 3-pointer than a 2-pointer. And yeah, it's a greater degree of difficulty, but if you can score more 3-pointers than your opponent and defend a lot better, and they'll make it to the Western Conference in the West. But after having the #1 overall seed in the West last year, they are now #4. So it's a bit of a fall off, but I mean, the West is just filled with some really, really good teams. So I mean, I'm not surprised that they fell that hard. But in doing so, this team will go as far as James Harden and CP3 can take them. And if CP3 can stay healthy, then I can see them going pretty far. And one of the main reasons they didn't make it all the way last year is because Chris Paul got hurt right before Game 7. And, I mean, you have probably one of the best point guards in the league go down for you right before one of the biggest games of the season. Yeah, it's going to suck. It's going to hurt. But they still have the likes of PJ Tucker, Clint Capella, Nene is still there with them. They picked up Iman Shumpert, Austin Rivers, who could also shoot. So, yeah, this team is going to be pretty deep when it comes to shooters. James Harden is going to probably go off for 30 every game, but it's going to take like maybe about 40 shots to do so. If they can make threes at a very high clip, they're going to be a very scary team to contend with. All in all, I feel like they could make a pretty decent run if they make it out of the first couple rounds, but it all depends on how healthy they can stay. And now, to my unbiased opinion of the Golden State Warriors, guys. The Dubs are, all in all, probably the best team in the league when they have a healthy starting five. And that's not me being a biased Warriors fan, but just look at it. Steph Curry, kind of having a bad ankle at the moment, but no doubt will play games 1 and 2 in Oakland for the first round of the playoffs. 2-time MVP, one of the best shooters in history, no doubt. One of the best point guards in history. Klay Thompson, one of the best catch-and-shoot guys, a 3-and-D guy, can defend up and down the floor with you. Draymond Green, the heart and soul of this team, is going to give you every ounce of him that he can. Kevin Durant, I mean, just a lethal mercenary, guys. This guy will shoot from the 3, shoot from 2, drive if he has to. 7 foot. You can't stop him when he's on the run. So, I mean, also not a bad player. And DeMarcus Cousins. Yeah, Boogie Cousins hasn't been the best this year, but that's easily understandable when he's coming off a torn Achilles. I mean, not everybody comes back from that. And being almost 7 foot and weighing almost 300 pounds to be able to come back from that, yeah, you're going to struggle a bit. But he's shown that in his good form can go off for 20 points and 14 rebounds and 15 rebounds. So if all 5 of these guys are clicking on all cylinders, they will run anybody out of the gym. And they are going to be looking to get their three-peat 4 and 5 years. So, yeah, these guys are going to be highly motivated to make history. I mean, who wouldn't? If you're on the verge of winning 3 in a row, your 4th trophy in 5 years, of course you're going to want to be motivated to do that. I mean, you potentially have the best starting lineup in NBA history, and you're telling me you can't win an NBA championship? I mean, these guys have a chip on their shoulders because they need to prove to everybody with this starting 5 they can easily go through anybody. These guys are expected to go 16-0 throughout the whole playoffs and not lose a single game. They are expected to sweep everybody throughout the whole playoffs. But that's just because of the Warriors. They're the best team in the league. They have been for the last couple years. But this is a team that continues to show day in and day out that they are not to be messed with. They are a team to be feared and a team that you cannot run with. If they are firing on all cylinders, look out. So guys, thank you guys again for watching. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. Before you guys click off the video, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to turn on post notifications. It does help me out in the long run, and it does help you guys keep up to date with my content. I am trying to post more consistently. I have a couple more video ideas that I want to get out before the end of the week. I will try to get them out as best as I can, but if not, please stay patient with me, guys. We are growing together. We are learning together. We are here to make this channel grow. So stick by me, guys. I will do the best I can to get the best content I can for you guys. So before I sign off, thank you guys again for watching, and I am out.